back here again with you today. Again, I apologize for being sort of untimely with these and being irregular with them all of a sudden. I know I have been sort of in the past more regular with them, like one or two a week. But again, I just haven't had time to sit down in front of a camera, or I just have not thought to sit down in front of a camera before I crack a beer, unfortunately. But this time I do want to do that. So a little late on these, I guess, in the season, since we are getting into the winter months, starting to see a lot of winter beers. So this is a seasonal Goose Island Oktoberfest. On here they call it Goose Oktoberfest. The 2016 traditional Märzen says on the bottle, pleasant hints of dried apricot and toffee aroma. That's kind of what I typically expect some things to kind of taste like in a Märzen, kind of like that sort of almost like sweet bread, kind of sweeter, sort of almost kind of desserty kind of beer, but it goes well with a lot of more smokier things like meats and stuff, obviously, which is what they typically want you to pair them with. So let's go ahead and get this cracked open. It's an 84 on Beer Advocate by the community. The bros have not looked at this one yet, maybe just the 2016 version. The 2016 brew on Untapped gets 3.5, which isn't too bad for Untapped. I'm going to be pouring it into this Guinness draft glass that I just got last night for a Guinness 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 pint night at a local tavern in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, called the Keg and Barrel. If you're ever through Hattiesburg, Mississippi, live in the South, definitely recommend stopping by the Keg and Barrel. They got a lot of good food and pretty incredible tap wall of different beers from around Mississippi and the Southeast, and starting to get more such as Bell's and other beers from other parts of the country, which is really neat. Let's go ahead and get this poured out into this glass. Yeah, it was, if you drink two Guinnesses, you get a free Guinness glass, and then they had Guinness people there doing etchings on the glasses. They just had like this etching machine set up. You can give them your glass, and they would etch it whatever you want, etch it in there. So that was really neat. Let's go ahead and get this poured into it, and see what we get. Immediately we get sort of a two-finger head of kind of khaki, sort of off-white colored head. Fairly thick looking. It's not really going to stick to the glass. I think the head is a little bit too slippery for that, but does have kind of a copperish color, as you can see there. It looks like a nice nice color. The aroma is fairly sweet, kind of bready. I do smell some apricot in the aroma, kind of like dried apricot. If you buy dry fruit, dried apricots specifically, obviously, open up the bag and smell it. Kind of smells like that. A little bit of grassiness. I don't believe that Goose Island uses too much hops in a lot of their beers like Sierra Nevada will do. But it has that Goose Island kind of aroma that you would smell from like most of their ales or pale ales, their IPA. It's got that Goose Island characteristic to it. So yeah, it smells good. Let's go ahead and go for the flavor on this one. Fairly basic, flavored Märzen. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it has just all those components. It doesn't really have anything that's too crazy. Doesn't really have anything in there that's very gimmicky. Some will do some kind of more spicier, herby kind of Märzens. Can't really think of any particular Märzens off the top of my head from different breweries that are actually like that. But I have tasted Märzens that are kind of a bit more, they try to do something a little bit more unique with them. This one definitely tastes just kind of more of like your typical traditional type of Märzen, which it does say on the bottle, traditional Märzen style, so you can't fault them for that, since that was their intention. But I am getting the apricot, which is good. That's a nice sort of quality, and being that they do claim that there is like an apricot sort of flavor, I'm also getting that sort of sweet bread kind of almost kind of like not really cinnamon rolls necessarily, or that pull apart like monkey bread, cinnamon bread that you can pull, like kind of puffs off of the whole loaf as like icing and stuff all over it. But anyway, that's just kind of what I always get, almost like a fruit cake. Um, One of those sort of those pastry type breads. I always kind of am reminded of whenever I'm drinking almost any sort of Meriton style. Not as malty as some of them can be. Some of them can be very heavy in the flavor, not in the body, but in the flavor. Um, this one's kind of more drinkable for sure, kind of lighter flavor, but the flavor is still flavorful. It's just kind of in a more subtle, in a more subtle way. Mouthfeel is light. Again, like I said, it's a drinkable Meriton style. Some of them I did say are heavier in the flavor. They can also be heavier in the body. This one is a more kind of closer to like a domestic kind of beer in the mouthfeel, just not as watery. It is 6.4% alcohol by volume. Can't really tell from this. There is a little bit of an alcohol bite maybe on the end, but again, it is very drinkable. Something that's towards 6.5, 6% alcohol by volume. You usually attribute something like a IPA or a stronger ale or pale ale or something like that. So usually Meritons are a little bit lower in alcohol, around the 5% mark, to kind of so you can drink like the large quantities, like the big steins of them and stuff like that at food festivals and whatnot. Um, this one is still drinkable though, despite being higher in alcohol content. Overall, it is really good. Meriton, I do enjoy it. It's very pleasant, very drinkable. So I definitely recommend checking it out. I think I'd give this one B plus. It's solid enough, more than solid. So just not quite there excellent. I've had some Meritons that I've just found to be a little bit more have a little bit more of a wow factor to them. But this is a very good, solid baseline Meriton, the Goose Oktoberfest 2016 brew. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching.